Hello everybody, it's your girl Asia from Rant's Fangirl channel. I am back here today with another Degrassi video. Welcome back to my channel. I was watching season 14, right y'all? And yes, this season is really god awful. But if there's one thing about that season that really rubs my gears, besides the whole pregnancy scandal, who's or who's not the baby daddy, is really the Degrassi Nudes storyline. I look at this storyline, look how they wrote it, and see how it all played out, and I wasn't happy with it from beginning or end. I was not happy with it. Number one, I hated that Zoe suffered absolutely zero consequences in this storyline. You mean to tell me she pimped these girls out, forced them all to send titty pictures, boob pictures, all around the internet to collect money, and all she got was lunch detentions? What? Because of what she did, she took away all the kids' freedom of having their phones when they want to. I mean, in the classrooms or in the lunchrooms. The whole system, the school system had to confiscate their phones. I would be pissed because it's like, because you did what you did, you're taking away my freedom. I need my phone on me at all times, because what if my mama called me? What if just anybody called me for an emergency and I didn't get that call? Now I'm irritated because of what you did. You take away my freedom of having my phone when and when I want to. So I feel like Zoe should suffer more consequences. She forced every girl on the team to send a boob pic. Frankie did only send one. Zoe checked her about it and asked her. She basically doesn't get a right on how Zoe spends the money on equipment or whatever if she isn't doing her part. Frankie refused to go along with it, and she quit the team. When Grace asks Zoe why she is doing this shit to begin with, there are a million other things you and this team could be doing to collect money, to have bus trips or new uniforms. They could do whatever they need to do. And then what's so funny to me about this storyline is that this storyline was completely unneeded. There was no need for them to be sending boob pics to get money for bus trips. Because when you watch Next Class and when they was doing volleyball and shit like that, who was paying for the bus trips? We didn't see them hold no cookie sales, no dessert sales, no nothing. No garage sales. They was just only going to games. So it's just like you can tell Degrassi wrote the Degrassi News storyline out of their ass. They just wrote that because of the fun of it. They just wrote it to write it. I understand if everyone had this mindset like, okay, after everything that happened to Zoe, she's going to change. Instead, they just made her more bitchy. I understand she didn't want to look like a victim, which makes completely sense. You know, she is a girl who has something really terrible was done to her, and I think she wanted to be free of that. She didn't want the world to look at her as that broken girl who got sexually assaulted, which makes sense because underneath all of that, I am not a victim. I am Zoe Rivas. I am a human being. That was the worst time of my life. I want to overcome that. I think people who reminded her that just made her go back to that terrible state that she was in. So, I don't know. I just thought they were going to do something different with Zoe, but instead they just made her. I mean, yeah, granted, she was a mean girl, but the Degrassi News storyline kind of put the icing on the cake of her being more of a mean girl. I know a lot of people didn't like Zoe's whole mean girl thing. Honestly, I think Paige is the top mean girl in Degrassi, but I feel like Zoe, and this might, rock some of y'all. I think Paige had the best redemption arc out of all the mean girls. I don't think it was Holly J or Zoe, but I think Zoe was Degrassi best mean girl. And I said that because they did something different with her. They didn't allow something bad to happen to her change her who she was. She still was that bad bitch, that manipulative bitch, that, oh, you're going to do what I say type bitch. She didn't stop being a mean girl because she got sexually assaulted. When Paige got sexually assaulted, she, became a different person. She looked at life a different way. And I liked that about her character. She became a better friend, a better girlfriend. She became friends with people that she picked on, which was like Toby and JT. Like, she became friends with them. Because before that, she would have never looked at them niggas once in her lifetime. I like that for Paige. I think Paige has the best redemption arc for all the Mean Girls, but I think Zoe was the best Mean Girl in Degrassi. And I know that's gonna rock some of y'all who listen to this video, but it's just my personal opinion. I'm saying that because she never changed after something bad happened to her. She still was that bitch. Like, she was just mean as fuck. She was such a bitch. Like, she never changed. I think Zoe was the best Mean Girl in Degrassi. Like, to tell Grace that the reason why she's pimping these girls out because eventually she knows their news are going to get linked and people are going to be talking about them. She wants them to feel the same way how she felt when all those videos and pictures of her was released, under against her, under her consent, like not knowing they were being taped, not knowing they were being taken. She wanted them to know how she felt. I feel like that is such a cold-hearted thing to say. These bitches on your team that you quote unquote say are like a sisterhood, you basically want them to feel how you feel, like a victim. It just, the Degrassi News storyline is just stupid. Like, there is literally no good storyline in season 14 at all. This storyline is so dumb. Zoe should have suffered more consequences. She suffered like 0 consequences. Like, none. And it wasn't until Frankie put her ass in that room when the school was about to burn down that she finally wanted to confess to everything. She confessed to a police officer on how she knows why the fire happened or whatnot. And, she basically said she started Degrassi Nudes and things like that. I think that doesn't make sense because wasn't Hero versus Villain before Firestarter? And Hero versus Villain, she admitted that she was behind Degrassi News. So I don't know why they did that. But anyways, it's season 14. There was a lot of shit, a lot of continuity in here that they totally forgot. I totally forgot about that in the Firestarter episode, she told that police officer that she was behind Degrassi News. But in Hero versus Villain, she told Principal Simpson she was behind it at the assembly. When whoever the hacker was, sent a text message showing that she was behind it. So, the Degrassi News storyline will be on my list for one of the worst fucking storylines to ever be in the Degrassi universe. It's just not a good storyline. If you wanted to do something like good, you could have did something actually good. Season 14 didn't even try to make good storylines. Like I said, it's like the writers just went in the writers' room, wrote anything that came to their mind, and that just really irritated me. Like I said, the only good things about this season was the Miles and Zig, the Maya and Zig build up, and the whole storyline with Miles and his father. That was some of the best acting Eric Osborne did in the show. Like, when his father, like when he raised his fist up and wanted to punch his dad, but he couldn't do it. That was some of the best acting in the show. That's one of my favorite scenes because you can see the emotional turmoil his father had around his son's neck. He was literally draining his son's life. Eric, you better act your ass off. He was really good. Like, he knew he ain't come to play. Great. Other than that, season 14 absolutely sucks. It's so boring. It's not a good season. I don't recommend it. This storyline is just really awful. And there's something else I wanted to say. It's about Zoe's character. Now, I know everyone is like, I saw this video. She was on there for Degrassi redemption arc characters. Me personally, I don't really think Zoe had a redemption arc. I feel like the Degrassi writers never really went into her character deep like I wanted them to, because Zoe said things that made me feel like, okay, well, they're going to go deep into that. I feel like Zoe had to be perfect because that is the standard her mother put her on. Since she was a kid, she act. And y'all also have to understand the reason why she acted the way she acted towards the kids her age, because she's been homeschooled her whole life. She has not been around kids that's her age. Excuse me. She was homeschooled her whole life, so when she came to Degrassi, this was her fresh start to actually meet kids her own age, have boyfriends. When she gave her a speech at the end of Degrassi Next Class season 4, when she said that she was mean or a bitch because she was, a defective mechanism, she was scared for people to get to know the real her, to be vulnerable, to let people in, because I think it was more like I won't say an abandonment thing, like having to be a people pleaser. She was a perfectionist because that is how her mother made her. I think the writers went more into her sexual preference instead of saying who is she as a character. As a character, we just saw that Zoe was the meanest girl in the Degrassi hallway. She was that backstabbing bitch. She wasn't really your friend. She would take your nigga. That's what she was as a character. But it's like I want to see that soft side of her. Like that soft side of her. Like I want to see deep, like what makes her a people pleaser. Why does she feel like she has to be so damn perfect? Where does that come from? Like they could have went more deep into that, but they didn't. And then at the end of season 14, they just made this whole thing like, okay, her and Grace, they got close over the summer. She didn't grew to have feelings for Grace. All they did was show, okay, her sexual preference is that she's into girls. She likes girls. She's a lesbian. Like I said, it's cool and all, but it's not really much of a redemption arc. Well, I guess you could say her becoming a lesbian did change her character, and it did. But I didn't want the writers to say, okay, now that she's out about being a lesbian, her whole character changed. I feel like they could have done that, made her have her redemption arc first, then focus on her sexual preference, her coming out as a lesbian. But hey, it's Degrassi. It is what it is. Especially season 14. I don't even know why I'm sitting here trying to defend this shit. Like, they didn't even try. In the next class, they definitely didn't try. So, that's all I have to really say for this video. I feel like Degrassi News was one of the most ridiculous storylines ever to be written. And Degrassi, Zoe did not suffer real consequences or repercussions that she should have. Getting lunch detention after pimping your bitches out on your team is not enough. That's not enough. And I don't know why everybody's saying, why was she the only one who suffered any consequences? The fuck? The teammates who sent boobs out, they're victims. They were forced to do that. They had no choice but no choice. It ain't like they wanted to do that shit. They had no choice but to do it. So don't do that. Zoe was basically these bitches is pimping them out for cash. I'm not trying to hear that shit. No, Zoe is the one who should have got real consequences. I'm not gonna cap. She should have gone to jail, been on probation. She should have been on anything because she basically was displaying child pornography. She was pimping these bitches out for money for field trips, new uniforms, whatever new anything. Whatever she needed the money for, she used them to make the money. So I'm really over it. Like I said, the Degrassi News storyline is one of the most ridiculous storylines ever. It's not a good storyline. Degrassi didn't even try to make it a good storyline. Like, not at all. And like I said, it's Degrassi season 14, so I'm not surprised that they didn't try. But I will catch y'all in my next video.